So up here in Michigan, we don't get opportunities like this, real early season like this very often. You know, normally here, it's the beginning of February, and our lakes are typically froze where we're still ice fishing, but we got a little warm up. I've got a brand new rig. I did a whole walkthrough on it, but I haven't been able to put it in the water yet. So want to be able to check everything out. I'm going to Texas next week for a trip and just want to make sure everything's working, and then obviously get a chance to make a few casts. So this little lake I saw yesterday was just half open. But with the sun shining and it's a little bit of wind, I knew it would open up. And I mean, that ice is just dissipated like that. So we're gonna get out there in the water and put a little time on the boat and check things out. I love early season fishing, but I can honestly say, I mean, this is the first week of February and we just don't get this opportunity. You know, some years, if we get a mild year, you know, we might be fishing right after Christmas, but we're typically ice fishing still. Uh-oh, good one. 41 degree water, beginning of the year. Just out tested my stuff and look at that, that's like a 4-pounder all day, at least. The lake was covered in ice yesterday. I mean, there's nothing like that. That's just a 375 Rage Swimmer, KVD Magic, it's clear water, chunk. The day that the ice goes off, I mean, they start biting, and it can be some of the best fishing of the year. But super early like this, when the water's cold, I mean, it's literally 41 degrees. I mean, that surface temperature overnight makes a big jump when you get that melt off, that initial melt off. And this little lake has 3 or 4 little streams coming into it. That's the only reason it's open this early. So, but right out of the gate, you know, they're not super aggressive. They relate to, you know, those deeper flats with grass on it. Got him. He was. I'm like, man, I saw them on Mega Live just barely moving in the weeds. They're just so sluggish in this super cold water like this. Good solid one though, again. Hard to get bites like this, but when you finally get around them and find them, you know, I mean, I had to work and work at that one. I almost didn't believe my eyes because it was like I saw them on Mega Live there. I saw the fish, or I wasn't sure if it was a tuft of grass. It was right on the bottom, and then it kept moving towards it. So I'm like, just keep shaking that bait a little longer. That's the beauty of it, is you get that real-time feedback. So, man, 41 degree water, first day with no ice, catching bass. This time of the year, up here in these northern natural lakes especially, you really got to focus on the conditions with your presentation. I mean, there's nobody that likes to catch them better, you know, jerking and red-eye shadding and cranking than me, and it's just not the right conditions. Now, if it was the first day after the ice came off this lake, there's one, biggin, and that's a biggin. But, you know, like I was saying, you know, if we had wind or cloud cover, yeah, I think I got a pike or a muskie or something. Everything eats Rage Swimmers, you know, I mean, the way I'm fishing that thing, just kind of skimming it along the bottom, this is big, whatever it is. It just really imitates a bluegill real well, but it also imitates, you know, a crawfish. So that's what I love about it, you know, just depending on how you're fishing it, it can make it do a lot of things. But under these conditions, I just would not be very successful power fishing. You get that wind, you get that clouds, and man, I mean, I haven't even seen this fish yet, but oh, it's big. It's big. Oh, he just come off. It was a big pike or muskie. I saw that. It was a toothy critter. But like I was saying, you know, I mean, even that, I mean, that's a big toothy predator like that I just hooked right there. They're not chasing stuff, you know, it's just post-frontal. We've had, you know, a little warming trend and things like that, but just with no wind and these high bright skies, you got to be slow and subtle. That's why I love that, you know, at Ned rig and this Rage Swimmer. It's just such a good bait when it's tough. You know, it's not an accident that we're out here kind of later in the afternoon too. You know, first and foremost, I knew that there was still some ice on the lake this morning. There was still skim ice here, but you just want to wait until that sun gets up, especially in the afternoon, and just really focuses on those northerly banks. You know, it's so critical. And these northern lakes like this, I mean, those fish will get right up shallow late in the day when that sun's shining there. They're just, even though the water's cold, they'll get up there. Any place there's dark bottom, you know, old dead vegetation, pad roots, things like that, and they'll ease right up onto the top of those flats and those edges and really sun themselves. Got him. Nice little fish. Little chunker. Gosh, they're just so cold. That is so much fun. Probably the best 2 times a year to fish up here for sure for me are late season, you know, when most everybody else is hunting, and then real early like this. It just, when you find them, you can find them. I mean, just look at that. I mean, just the prettiest fish of the year. They're waiting for spring just like us. And man, I love going south, but gosh, as soon as it opens up here, it's pretty special. So I just caught that last fish, and I noticed that he spit this up on the way out. I mean, look at this. There's a freshly, I mean, this bluegill is still alive. Same size as that rage swimmer, pretty dang similar colors right there. I mean, in these lakes up here, they eat a lot of things, but bluegills are a focal part of their life for most of the year. So just like any place else, man, matching the forage is everything, and there's the perfect example right there. So the 375 rage swimmer is what we've been catching them with today, and it's one of my favorites for cold water. I think, you know, that little bit bigger bait with that slow wag that tail has in this cold water just really catches them. You know, I was throwing KVD Magic, but the IU, just straight green pumpkin is a real good one up here. All of these colors like this really blend in with the bottom and imitate either a bluegill or a crawfish in the grass real well. So, you know, when you're fishing it real slow, dragging it on the bottom, you know, it doesn't matter to me if they think it's a crawfish, but it's just a good bait. It has that slow, subtle action. I think they feel the vibration of that tail real well. The one thing I like to do is just bite that head off of that bait, and just so it fits up against my jig head. I've just got it on a 1/4 ounce head right now, and you know, just nice and slow spinning rod. It's a 7-4 Team Lou Signature Series, my buddy Mark Zona. You know, I like longer rods. This rod has a nice soft tip to it, but it's got a lot of backbone. Got a Lou's Custom Lite 200 series shallow spool right here, and with that reel braid like this, 8-pound braid, and I've got an 8-pound leader. It's a great finesse setup for this kind of fishing. You got great feel with it, and I'm just basically just slow swimming, just slow scruffing that thing along the bottom. And you know, when they bite it, it's just a, you know, you just kind of gets heavy sometimes. If it gets caught in the grass a little bit, I'll just kind of snap it out, and that triggers a lot of these fish to, you know, into biting. But it's a slow presentation, but it's still pretty efficient because I'm just keeping that bait moving. Once I get it down onto the bottom, just kind of keeping it moving along, just scooting along, and it just stirs up the bottom, and they see it close over there, and it looks real natural, and they'll come over there and bite it. So we've got a good handful of bites today, and it's the very first day that the ice is gone on this lake right here. Most of the lakes, I mean, there's still people ice fishing all around this area right now, but the ice is going out quick, and with these warming conditions, you know, spring is just around the corner. But early February like this, not normal to do this in Michigan, but it just goes to show you that the water temperature is not what they're worried about. They're thinking about spring. They're moving up on these edges already.